In the middle of the night, the sound of high heels was heard, but do not be afraid, perhaps, it is not even human. Today's story comes from a netizen who forgot the name, because he shared his grandfather's story in the live broadcast. My friend's grandfather was a top student when he was young. After graduating from high school, he went to the countryside to teach and went to a very remote place. At that time, there was no dormitory, so he lived in the classroom, and the school provided him with a bed. On the first day he arrived, he encountered a monster. In the middle of the night, around 2 or 3 o'clock, the sound of a woman walking in high heels came from the back door of the classroom. Dada walked to the position next to Grandpa's bed. He closed the classroom door and propped it up with several desks from the inside. Because the school was in a very remote location, there were no people nearby, and it was reasonable for the old man not to hear anyone coming in. As dawn approached, he dozed off for a while. The next day, he quickly reported the incident to the principal. What did the principal do after hearing this? He was indeed in a difficult position, unable to arrange another place to stay, so he arranged for a few boys to live with Grandpa. Back then, school started late, and those boys were a few years younger than the old man, but they were all raised in the countryside, with tough heads. After hearing the old man's story, they were not only not afraid but also wanted to catch that woman. The young men prepared matches, candles, butterfly nets, ropes, and various weapons. In short, they wanted to reassure the old man that no matter who came, they would make them show themselves. That night, several people pretended to sleep in bed. They didn't know how long they waited. The sound of high heels came again. Dada got closer and closer to their beds. Indeed, as Grandpa had said, the footsteps stopped beside the bed. Several people immediately lit the candles, blocked the door, and wielded weapons, chopping in the air for a while. As a result, a scream came from the ground. Looking down, it was no wonder there was the sound of high heels. The little guy was stepping on an eggshell with his feet. He also said, "Why not open the door?" The little thing had crawled in through a hole in the back door of the classroom. Grandpa took a few young people to see. Hey, he didn't know what to do, but a few young people were used to it. They picked up the little thing and tied it up with a rope. They started to whip him with their willows, smoking and scolding him. The little thing dared to scare our teacher. "You don't want to live anymore. Whip this little thing," and the little thing wailed. After whipping for a while, they played with him for a while, and after playing, someone else came up and whipped him. Grandpa couldn't stand it and persuaded several times, but the temper of a few students made Grandpa sweat, and they played for a while. After a while, the old man had just lain down when there was a sudden knock on the door, which scared the old man and a few young people. Who would knock on the door in the middle of the night? Before they could speak, a man's voice came from outside. "I am old Wang from the west of the village." A few young people opened the door and listened. "Ah, isn't this my Uncle Wang? Hurry up and open it and take a look." Old Wang was sweating profusely. "What's wrong? What are you doing at our school in the middle of the night?" Old Wang wiped his sweat and pointed to the little thing on the ground. "Oh, my little grandfathers, did you just whip him?" A few young people nodded, and Old Wang continued, "Don't whip anymore. Just now, your aunt was sleeping soundly, suddenly screamed and woke me up. Her voice changed, telling me that someone was whipping him at the school, asking me to come over and save him. Seeing that something was wrong, your aunt was in terrible pain, and I hurriedly ran over to see what was going on and encountered this matter. Come on, don't whip, you guys." The old man listened to a few young people's words, and his scalp went numb in an instant. Those young people quickly agreed with old Wang. saying, "Uncle Wang, you can rest assured, we won't whip him anymore, you go back and see the situation, it's okay, we won't mess around with this matter anymore." After saying this, these guys also ran to the little thing in front of them and asked, "Did you hear that this little thing really nodded like it had a spirit?" Seeing this scene, old Wang went back relieved. A few young people also stopped messing with the little thing and lay down to sleep with Grandpa. The next morning, Grandpa and his students woke up almost at the same time. After waking up, they were all panting. When they asked, they knew that several people had the same dream. An old man fiercely found them, saying, "You let my grandson go, and then give me 3 hens. Forget it. If you don't let my grandson go, I will bring people to save him tonight, and I think you can't stop it. It's too late for you to regret." Then a group of people with sharp teeth rushed at them, and then they were scared awake. All the people in the classroom had the same dream at the same time, which is hard to say is a coincidence. Grandpa quickly reported this matter to the principal. The principal felt very difficult when he heard about it. Who dared to believe in strange and supernatural things at that time, not to mention 3 hens, an egg was a treasure back then. Then, the principal made a wise decision. "Don't you want to come and save people? I'll catch the turtle in the jar." On the same day, the students were arranged to go home and bring the rat traps from the school to their homes. Then, the principal, with the teacher's grandfather and those students, lined up the rat traps in a semicircle, surrounding the classroom door. "Ah, don't you say you want to come and save people? I'll let you come and go." Come to catch people at night, everyone is anxiously waiting in the classroom, both looking forward to and afraid. It is estimated that at around 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, a boy on the lookout by the window shouted, "I'm coming." Those people hurried to the window and looked out, their scalps really numb. Under the moonlight, a group of yellow skins rushed towards the classroom, and stopped at the position of the rat traps. A yellow skin with white hair, more than half a meter long, came out from the middle. It looked at the rat traps on the ground and called out, and several big yellow skins around it ran out after hearing it. The old man said that the white-haired yellow skin is like human nature. Its eyes stared at them, scaring them into immobility. There were many little guys outside. After a while, those big ones who had just run away came back. They used branches and sticks to throw the things on the rat traps to the side. The rat traps were all destroyed. Then some big yellow skins bit the branches and sticks and dragged the rat traps to the side. Now the principal is dumbfounded. Are these yellow skins so intelligent? Before they could react, a group of yellow skins outside shouted in unison, and the little thing tied inside also shouted. Not to mention how harsh the voice was, it made people's heads ache. Now, the principal is out of ideas. When he saw those young people, he was also timid. Helplessly, he ran to the little thing tied up, relaxed, held it in his arms, opened the door and walked out. He said to the old white hair in the middle, "Don't you just want your grandson? I'll give him back to you, you see he's fine, but don't make a fuss, you hurry up and leave. It's not that we won't give it. You really don't have such conditions. The school doesn't raise chickens, but you can give you a little food after my monthly food stamps come down. If you agree, nod, and I'll let him go. If you don't agree, I'll smash him in front of you. This is not a trivial matter." As soon as the voice fell, the old white hair called out again, and it was clear that the voice was anxious and angry, followed by a group of little things that were also restless, calling and scratching the ground. At that time, the old white hair stared fiercely at Grandpa. At that time, Grandpa didn't know where the courage came from and stared at it for 2 or 3 minutes. The white hare's front legs stood up, like a person, and the hind legs stood up and nodded. Grandpa was relieved at that time. He took a breath and gently put down the little thing in his arms. This little thing jumped to the old white hare's side with a swoosh. The old white hare lay down and touched the little thing's head with its paw. It looked meaningfully at Grandpa, turned around and called out. A group of yellowskins ran away in the blink of an eye. If it weren't for the footprints and pits on the ground, and the rat traps dragged to the side, the old man couldn't believe that all this was true. Later, a few students who had whipped the little thing got sick, but Grandpa was fine. After staying at the school for more than 2 years, there were no strange noises in the middle of the night. Of course, Grandpa insisted on putting the food at the school gate every month after getting the food stamps, until he left there. Well, see you next story.